Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the February 9th meeting of the Bellingham City Council committee meetings. The first committee up today is Public Works, Public Safety, and Terry Borneman is the chair.
Thank you, Gene. Joining me on the committee is Michael Lilliquist and Roxanne Murphy. We have one item before us today, and that's a Public Works operation update. Ted.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Ted Carlson, Public Works Department. From time to time, we've been bringing to Council updates of our operation division. Oftentimes, the work that goes on over in operations is related to things that don't always come back to Council on a periodic basis for approval. Rather, the budget is approved during the budgetary process, and the work is ongoing and operational in nature, so there's not a lot of bid awards or code amendments or anything else that typically has to come back to Council. So we'd like to come back from time to time and just provide an update of the type of work that is being done in operations, and it's information only and certainly be available to answer any questions. But with that, I'll turn it over to Eric, and he'll go through a few PowerPoint slides here.
Thank you, Ted. Eric Johnston with the Public Works Department. And as Ted mentioned, just a chance, really no action here, just more information, a chance to ask some questions and share some information for you today. Just a quick overview of the Public Works Department in terms of the number of employees and the things that the Public Works Department does. The engineering, there are three divisions within the Public Works Department: engineering, natural resources, and the operations group. Engineering will be responsible for capital projects, natural resources as its namesake for natural resources, and policy-related questions. And operations takes care of, as Ted mentioned, the day-to-day things that keep the city functioning and running, ranging from our water and sewer system, making sure that we have safe drinking water and safe wastewater, taking care of our stormwater system, our streets, and our traffic. Our traffic is a big one. That's kind of the sight unseen. There's the guys who make sure that the street lights are functioning, that the stop signs are up, that the speed limit signs are posted, that the traffic signals are functioning, and yes, they are functioning, even though to the frustration of some folks from time to time, they do function. That's an ever-constant changing issue as we respond to various changes in the community or just changing traffic patterns from time to time. We keep a pretty close eye on that. Facilities is one that operations also has. Facilities is responsible for the regular maintenance as well as the custodial services for most, if not all, of the city buildings. The fleet, we purchase and maintain all of the city's vehicles with over 800 pieces of rolling stock, from lawnmowers to police cars and fire trucks. That's a pretty big responsibility. Those guys are busy all the time. Purchasing is kind of an unsung hero. They help make sure that we're doing our responsibilities to the state law and to the taxpayers, making sure that we're getting our best value for our buck where we can, making sure that all of our staff who have large purchasing needs are following by the rules as we need to, making sure that there's opportunities for our local contractors and bidders to get opportunities to do business with the city. Communications is one that is somewhat unique for Bellingham for Public Works. The Public Works Department runs the communication systems for police, fire, and coordination with the WTA, which is a big responsibility. These are the radios that the police officers coordinate and talk to each other about. In terms of FTEs, we're about 170 FTEs in the department. There's a little bit difference in the numbers there between what you find in your budget. That's just the difference between what we have currently and what was in the budget in terms of actual.
Eric, could you tell if people know what FTE means?
I'm sorry, FTE is a full-time equivalent employee. So if somebody's working full-time, that's a 1.0. If it's a half-time employee, that's a 0.5, and so on and so on. But overall in the department, a little more than 200 employees. Like Ted mentioned, those operational folks, we tend to not see them very much. They're out there getting their job done on a daily basis. One of the things that we're very proud of this last year is our safety program. We think safety is a pretty important thing to do. I'm fond of saying that if the job is not done safely, it wasn't done correctly. So we put a fair amount of emphasis in 2013 and 14 to our safety program and implemented a new program where we have an employee recognition for employees who are exhibiting safe work practices, where employees are nominating their peers for doing something that they see as a safe practice, ranging from new handrails to stopping and helping people during an accident. Employees are recognized both monthly and quarterly with the Director's Award and monthly with just an award from the Safety Committee. You can see the picture of the Safety Committee on top and our director there with the last recipient of the quarterly award. Just to point out, Tim Morse here, who got our quarterly award, he was out doing his daily rounds and happened to be on site when an accident happened. He was able to put his first aid skills that he learned within the department to work to help benefit a citizen, and his coworkers nominated him for that award. We're seeing some real benefits from that. In 2013, we had 17 reportable incidents or accidents that resulted in 4 lost time incidents. As a result, I believe, of putting that program into place, we went from 4 lost time incidents to 0. The number of accidents reduced, and also just in terms of a metric, the cost of those accidents to the city and to the city went down by quite a bit. And while we use the dollar numbers and the numbers as a metric, what we're really interested in making sure is that people get to go home to their families and pursue their activities outside of the workplace safely and not have to be hurt at work and not be able to get their job done. But this is really kudos to the staff who put this work together. Ted and I helped support this, but this is our staff who really made this happen. One of our major projects for the department is the water metering project. This came out of a mandate from the state of Washington to convert all of our flat rate customers to a metering system where we have a monitoring of people's consumption. That project is on track, is on schedule, and is on budget. It is done by the operations staff. The water crews are out installing water meters at people's homes almost every day. Out of a total of about 15,000 meters, we've completed a little more than 7,200 with 3,600 meters being done in 2014. This is a change then for those customers beginning of this month and starting in January and February with bills coming out in March. Those customers whose meters were installed in 2014 will begin receiving metered bills starting in 2015. The pattern will continue in 2015. If we put your meter in 2015, your bill will start coming as a metered consumption starting in 2016. We try to have all those meters in by August or early September. We had a few this year that didn't get put in until December, and so by and large, we try to get to August or September to get all those meters put in place.
Jack, you had a question?
Eric, what neighborhoods are going to be hit this year with
You know, I
meters?
don't have that off the top of my head. I know we are working in letter streets right now, I believe. The schedule is up on the website. We can get that information, but it is available to the public. We also do a public meeting about a month or two ahead of time before the crews come into the neighborhoods to go out and reach out and say this is coming and so forth.
Thanks.
When are we looking, what's the goal for completion?
2017, I believe.
Okay, thanks.
So it's a big deal. I mean, it's a pretty substantial change, not only for the Public Works Operations Group, but also involves staff from the Finance Department, staff from the Legal Department, staff from the IT Department. It truly is not just Public Works Operations Group doing this. It's a pretty all-hands effort trying to get this effort put into place. The water treatment plant improvements, these are improvements up to the Whatcom Falls water treatment facility in Whatcom Falls Park. The pre-treatment project design is underway. We're just about ready to execute the next portion of the design contract with CH Tuam Hill to take us to the design construction documents for that project. We did a fair amount of pre-design effort in late 2013 and 2014. We're now ready to proceed forward with the nitty-gritty nuts and bolts construction documents to get us ready to go to construction in 2016 and have that facility online in early 2017. We are very pleased to receive a low-interest loan from the state of Washington through the State Revolving Fund to the tune of $11.7 million. With that loan, which comes at an interest rate somewhere between 1.5%, or 2%, depending on how quickly we finish the project, that helps avoid having to go out to the bond market for a public bond to help pay for that project. With that low-interest loan, and using previously issued bond revenues and some city financing, we were able to not have to go out and find another bonding source to pay for that project. So that project's moving forward. I believe the council is scheduled for a tour of that facility in early March, so we're happy to show you what we're doing up there. Probably not a whole lot of action for the council to take until we get ready for the construction side of that coming out later this year, if not early next year. Down at Post Point, this was a major effort for the department. It's been operational now for a little more than a year. It is functioning as planned, and we're very pleased with the improvements that went down there. It is doing what it was intended to do and is meeting the needs of the city as was anticipated. One of the bright points down there is we were able to receive a pretty sizable rebate or a grant from PSC for some of the energy upgrades that we put into the facility, largely related to the blowers that deliver the air into the system to help the treatment process. Our plant supervisor, Larry Bateman, was instrumental in making sure that that grant rebate came through. So we're very pleased to have that check in hand as of now. As I mentioned earlier, facilities is one of the responsibilities for the operations group. It continues to be a bit of a challenge, but we are moving forward on a couple of issues. One is the federal building. That construction was awarded by council a couple of weeks ago, anticipating starting construction on February 16th. Should be looking forward to having the Public Works staff moving into their late summer, early fall of this year. We are implementing a new work tracking system, make it easier to keep track of the work that they are doing and make it easier for customers to submit their customer service requests. But we are still struggling to try to find that balance between critical repairs and being ahead of things and trying to balance off on the funding side. It continues to be a struggle for us to get away from fighting fires and doing things on a preventative maintenance level. For 2015, some of our 4 top goals for 2015, probably the big one is the implementation of asset management principles. Asset management principles being a way of thinking about how we get things done and how we make decisions to where to invest the city's resources and dollars. Trying to put a risk-based approach to that decision-making process. We're continuing to invest in the water system infrastructure that's up at Whatcom Falls and within the wastewater system to do projects and programs to reduce our infiltration into the wastewater system, and then long-range permitting compliance for wastewater and stormwater. We know that the stormwater regulations will not get any easier. They're only going to get more stringent, and the same thing on wastewater, monitoring and seeing how the state's going to change their approach to regulation for wastewater. That's going to be more stringent as time goes on. We know that's going to happen, trying to be ready for that when those regulations come forward. And then lastly, maintaining and enhancing communications for public safety and operations. This is a pretty big, this comes out of the asset management principles. We talked about this a little bit during the budget, that one of our high-risk areas is communications. And if our public safety folks were to lose their communications ability, that's a pretty high risk to the citizens of our city, making sure that we're meeting that need. So that's what we're working on for 2015. That's a pretty short and down and dirty presentation, but that's those are probably the big things that we're working on for 2015.
Okay. Any questions? Dan? And then Roxanne first. Then.
Thank you so much for the update because, we continuously get questions about a lot of these projects as they're going forward. So I know we already do some of this, but I'm really interested in continuing to support community outreach through social media, any kind of newsletters or mailers that we already do, anything like that to help people stay up to date, to show how our city is working for them.
Yeah, thank you. We do some of that. Right now in the Public Works Department, it's largely project-based, so it's centered around capital projects or some of our programs in natural resources. But the Mayor's office is working on communication strategy that we're certainly part of and look forward to implementing some of the tools that we may not have used as much as we could have in the past. So, yeah.
Okay. Michael and Dan.
Ted, as you know, the city is competing in the Georgetown University Energy Prize, and part of that prize is based on the city reducing its own power consumption. You say we got the rebate for the sewer treatment plant. I know our lift and pump stations are rather energy intensive. Do you see any energy saving improvements we can do on those large consumptive city features in the 2 years of the competition?
Well, it's something that we're always looking at, so I think there's certainly possibilities out there. When we did the energy efficiency projects a couple years ago, we did do an energy grade audit at the treatment facilities as well. And at that time, we didn't identify any projects that met the standard that we had set forth in terms of payback. And that's largely because we have been working very closely with Puget Sound Energy over the years and replacing many of our pumps and facilities with more efficient technology, variable frequency drives and things like that in our pump houses. So always an opportunity and something we'll continue to look at. And PSE has been a good partner with us for many years on that. So like this rebate system that we just got for Post Point, we'll be looking at it in association with our water treatment plant and the upgrades up there.
But offhand, there isn't like one particular older pump that would be next if there was a next one, or is there maybe the next one that might come?
Off the top of my head, I don't believe that there's anything that's been identified for replacement based on efficiency alone. As you know, and we talked about a little bit during the budget process in the Public Works Department, we're focusing on our street lights as our next big project, which is a big energy consumer in itself, about $500,000 a year between our street lights and our traffic signals. And we've replaced many of our traffic signals with LED, but the next step is going to the street lights themselves. And we're in the middle of a process with the state of Washington, very similar to the one that we did with our municipal buildings, looking at energy efficiency firms. We've done investment-grade audits, and we're just looking at the financing of it at this point, but some real opportunities there.
Dan?
Will metered customers see any changes in their water bills?
So I'll start, and then Eric can speak more specifically about it. But it is very dependent on the household. But on average, there's not a huge change. The one exception to that would be if you do a lot of outdoor watering. So folks that don't do a lot of outdoor watering, it's really just their household use. The rates have been designed so that there's not a big change, and really most likely an opportunity to potentially see a reduction in the bill, although it is very dependent on their usage. Myself, as an example, I was in a neighborhood that was converted last year, and it's very close. Our usages are, and I have a larger family, and I'm still paying very close to what the flat rate is. So if you're a smaller family, an opportunity to save, with the exception of outdoor watering, that's where people would see a big difference.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? I just want to say, one of the things I was really glad to see was that going from 4 to 0 on lost time accidents. I mean, that's big. You know, we want our employees to have safe working environments, and anything we can do to reduce those kind of things, that's a great statistic. So good job to everyone on that one to getting those statistics down.
Yeah, thank you. I do have to compliment Eric on that. That was definitely an initiative that he brought forward. He saw the opportunity to put more emphasis on safety over at operations, department-wide, but it's certainly operations with the number of employees and the type of work that they do. And as he mentioned, the staff has really rallied around it, and the safety committee has put a lot of time in, and I think you can see the results.
Yeah,
So,
it's
thank you.
great to see. So, seeing nothing else, end of committee.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you for the report.
Marie, tell